Our speaker, who already has made himself useful to Launchpad Job Club by putting all kinds of good information in chat. He is Dan Corbin. He is currently an instructor with Pragmatic Institute. He, in addition to being a Launchpad Job Club alumnus, is a proven product management and tech leader, passionate about helping companies improve their strategy and their operations. He has extensive experience as a product management instructor, mentor, and coach. Over his multi-decade career, he has led a wide variety of product teams across various industries. He is also dedicated to helping people achieve their career goals and assisting those making a career transition. He has been an award-winning speaker at Product Camp, which is a free unconference that I hope all of you will attend. Launchpad has been a sponsor of Product Camp for a long time, and almost always Dan Corbin is an award-winning speaker at those great fun events. So without any more delay, let's welcome Dan Corbin.
Thanks. Let me go ahead and share my screen so I can pull up my presentation here. There we go. So can you guys see that? Wait, what are you seeing right now?
We see you, and we see Dan Corbin has started screen sharing, but we don't see your presentation.
Yeah, that's weird. My screen sharing is paused. Let me stop sharing. Let's try this again. Let's do this one. Still not doing it. Well, while I fix this, I want to build off of something that Kathy mentioned, because, she mentioned that Scott Killian founded the Agile Austin, and that Lonnie is leading the Agile coaching group. Back in it was a long time ago. I don't want to actually date myself too much, but I used to be the leader of the Agile product group. So that was one way that I really helped bolster my my career, because I was able to kind of give a platform where I could share my knowledge about Agile and product management. So it not only did it help me kind of bolster my own kind of profile, but I learned so much. And you network just naturally. So getting involved in these meetup groups is incredibly helpful, and I really can't recommend it enough.
Your presentation flashed across the screen, so I think you're good.
So let me see. Does this, if I start presenting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you're good.
All right. So, and I think, Paul, just a heads up, I think we're going to do a couple breakout rooms just to throw a couple of curveballs at you to keep you on your toes. All right, so we're going to talk about 50 ways to get a job, a better way to network, find the right job, and really accelerate your career. So we're not just talking about, all right, how do I get to that next step on the ladder, but really think about what that overall career arc is going to look like. So as Kathy mentioned, I'm an instructor for Pragmatic Institute. We've been teaching, we've been in business for the last almost 30 years. So maybe some of you have taken some Pragmatic courses. I'm also a product coach at Product Hired, but don't go there because you need to pay. You can reach out to me. Anyone who's at Launchpad, you can reach out to me directly. I also run a group, the Product League. We've been doing that for about the last 7 years, because I founded it because I wanted to elevate product management in Austin. I felt like we were really behind different cities and areas of the country, and it's been amazing to see. I would go to these presentations like at Product Camp and be like, how many people are being data-driven or using these sort of analytics? And I realized, like, oh, a lot of companies aren't. How can we improve that in Austin? So that's really the purpose of that. We have amazing speakers. I usually will just line up the speakers and get the hell out of the way, because there are so many incredible people in Austin that you can learn from. I also founded a thing called the Product Job Club, which I'm going to mention a little bit more, because that's really the basis of this presentation. And the reason I started the Product Job Club was because of the Launchpad Job Club. I realized that there's a better way to go about your job search. And all of you already realize that, or otherwise you wouldn't be here. I mentioned my time. I helped out with Agile Austin, and you can always, I encourage everyone to connect with me on LinkedIn. I think I got most of you sent invitations already. All right, before I start, you may notice I talk really fast. I like to go, 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 go. So if I'm talking for the next hour, this presentation will have been a failure. So what I want you to do is do not hesitate. Come off mute. You're probably going to have to interrupt me, which is fine. Drop questions in the chat. I'm monitoring the chat. So please, let's make this more of a discussion, because I think the more you share and the questions you ask and the examples that you bring up, that's going to help the others in the group. And that's really what this whole, my approach to finding a job is about, is how do you leverage the knowledge and insights and help others while they help you. So please, I don't want this just to be like a one-way presentation. So I'm going to do a little background information. There's the agenda. We're going to go through the whole thing. You'll see everything we're going to cover. And I'll happily share this presentation with everyone after. But I want to start with a little background information. Job searches, I don't think I'm, surprising anyone when I say that job searches are really hard. And I would say it's safe to say they suck. I've been there. I've been laid off multiple times. I've worked with, as Kathy mentioned, I was a Job Club alumni. It's not a great situation to be in, but, we all have strengths and weaknesses. And, you want to be able to figure out, all right, how can I go about this and find that next job that's really going to continue to set me up to have that overall career success, and realize that this is a tough time, but not to let the struggles and the emotions and the doubts really drag you down. So we're going to show you how you can avoid that. How do you, react when you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed, and how do you network, and how do you determine what is really the best place for me to work, and what sort of jobs should I apply to? So this is something that I learned again, and so much of what I built my coaching and training and mentoring around is what Kathy and Shannon have done at the Launchpad Job Club. All right, so the origin of the Product Job Club. So I was an instructor at a company called General Assembly. So they teach people product management, data science, engineering, all of those types of things, project management. And I noticed I had a lot of really great students that weren't getting product jobs. And I knew they had all of the talents, all the qualifications. They had that fire in the belly. They had all the potential to be great product people, but for some reason they weren't getting their jobs. So I wanted to find out why that was. So as a product person, I like to run experiments. I have an hypothesis. I create an experiment to either validate or invalidate that. And my hypothesis was they were going about the job search the wrong way. Now, I learned from Kathy and Shannon the right way to go about the job search, focusing on your networking, understanding really what is the right fit for you. What are the things that matter most that's going to allow you to really be happy and flourish at our job? And I realized that most of them were just starting with the job boards and just firing off, doing the old spray and pray. That is not the way to do it. We always want to favor quality over quantity when it comes to your job search. So one of the things that I did when I was in the Launchpad Job Club is I had a fun employment buddy, my buddy Caroline. So I met her when we were doing Agile training, and we were doing this advanced training, and we realized she was looking for a job, I was looking for a job, and we should hold each other accountable. Let's meet up. So this is what we did. We became fun employment buddies. And not only did we meet up to, and share job opportunities, we would be like, hey, what are you doing today? There's a free movie at UT. Let's go watch that, or let's do this. We kept each other sane during this process, which is really, really helpful. So I wanted to build off that concept, and I needed a framework to guide this process. So I looked at a lot of different frameworks. I looked at a lot of books. I did a lot of research, and I settled on a framework called 50 Ways to Get a Job. It's a book by an author named Dev Ajula. Now, he actually has a website that you can go to. You can buy the book, or you can just go to the website. There are some slight differences, but not too many. So this is the book. And again, there is a website. I think it's just called 50 ways to get a job.com. Pretty simple. So the results of this initial job club that we did almost 4 years ago were really, really good. We showed that the framework works, and the approach that he recommends really paid off for the members. We had initially 8 people, and within 3 months, 7 of the 8 people either landed a new job, got a promotion, or at least got a job offer. The 8th person decided, you know what? I'm actually going to start my own business. And she kind of said that was so, I actually feel like we had 100% success rate, because for her, she realized like, this is the passion. This is what I really want to pursue. Now, 4 years later, over 4 years later, almost 5 years in December, it'll be 5 years. We're still going strong. We meet every other week. And we're always kind of helping each other. Now, we've helped place over 100 people over that time. And our web of kind of alumni has grown and grown and grown. So now when people come to us and say, hey, I'm looking to get a job in product management, design, whatever it may be, when people are looking like, hey, I saw this job. Does anybody know somebody at that company? We're like, yes, we do. In fact, they are an alumni. And the only thing they have to do to be part of the job club is to pay it forward in the future. So we've seen like how it just has this positive ripple effects going forward. So we're going to go through what the framework is and talk about like the different phases. The first phase in the book is just what you would expect. How do you get started? And the best thing to do is when you realize you're in a situation, whether you've lost your job or you realize like, I need to get the hell out of here ASAP. You need to like just take inventory of things. And what I have found to be the best exercise is to have your past experiences inform what you want to do in the future. So one of the exercises, let me step back because the format of the book is a little bit interesting. It's 50 ways to get a job. It's 50 different exercises in these 9 different areas. Now, it is not meant to be a book that you read from start to finish and you do every single exercise. Because there's exercises in there, there's like no effing way I'm doing that. Like there's one book, like one exercise that's just sit in a dark room for 45 minutes. I'm not capable of doing that. So I'm not a meditation person. But for some people, that's good. So it's almost like a choose your own adventure. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the different sections of the book, and I'm going to highlight some of the exercises that he advises. And I'm going to just point out the ones that I've seen to be especially helpful. Again, you can go to the website, you can look at these, you can buy the book if you really want, if that's your preference. But it's all there for you to kind of follow. And again, it's a choose your own adventure. Do what you think is going to be helpful for you. Now, one of the first activities that he recommends in the getting started exercise is to make a list of 15 to 25 different jobs you've had, milestone projects, important people that you worked with, the types of cultures that you experienced at companies. What were the industries? What were the company size? All of the different things that kind of made up your past career, your career up to this point. And what you do is you're going to build a reverse timeline. So you start today and you build a timeline going backwards. And then you're going to plot all of those moments. Anything above the line are going to be positive experiences, things that would want to inform what you might want to do in the future or the type of environment you might work in. Things below the line are things you're going to try to avoid. Maybe you had a boss that was a micromanager, or maybe I remember I had a job where I was overseeing teams that were building accounting software. And I distinctly remember being in a conference room, getting into the minutia of the software, thinking, I don't care at all about this. In fact, I hate accounting stuff. I need to get out of here. So you kind of plot that out. And once you visualize your past career that way, it helps you start to think about, what do I want to do in the future? So your past experiences are going to inform where you want to go in the future. I'm a visual person. I like to do color coding and things like that. But this is a really helpful exercise. We would make everyone kind of do this, like the first thing, and then ask people, what did you learn from this? Yes. Yeah, Lonnie, Miro is a perfect tool to do this. Now, another thing in the getting started section is find a friend in the situation. I can't stress enough the importance of finding a fun employment buddy. Just knowing that you're not, because you are not there's lots of people that are in your situation. And if you're doing this all by yourself, and especially if you have kids, if you have a mortgage, all of these things can really add to the stress. But if you can share and be able to have other people that are in the same, then they understand what you're going through, it makes it a little bit easier. Plus, it allows you to kind of have someone to just kind of help you hold accountable, to help build you up and boost you when you're having those down days where you're just like, you know what, I don't feel like doing anything. And just be like, you know what, that's okay. Not every day you have to be like, cranking out from 9 to 5 on your job search. It's okay. That's not realistic. So what you can do with this person is you can work with them using this book to make commitments, to help each other, to say like, all right, this is really what I'm going to focus on right now. And you can share what you've learned. Like when I mentioned my original fun employment buddy, Caroline, and she's the one I founded the product job club with. She was the co-founder. She got a job offer. Not a job offer, but it's like somebody reached out to her about this job. She's like, it's not right for me, but I actually know who would be perfect for. And it was me. Now, she actually knew the hiring manager there. And we coordinated it so that like I got an interview because, and then she actually called or emailed that manager the morning of, just like, hey, my friend told me he just applied for a job. The guy is amazing. He could do, and basically I had her list out. And sure enough, he was like, oh, that's funny. I'm actually interviewing Dan today. So those are the types of like interactions and the types of benefits when you do your job search with a network or with a fun employment buddy. Some other exercises from this first section. Maybe you need to schedule a vacation buffer. And it doesn't mean you're like, all right, I'm heading off to Cancun. Probably, I can't imagine you would want to go south. I would imagine you would want to like, Kathy, where are you? Aren't you up north? Are you in Indiana now?
Yeah, I'm in Indianapolis.
All right. Would you like to share what the temperature is there?
I don't want you to hate me.
It's bad. I just got back from Minneapolis last night, and I was so sad to leave because it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
It was 75 this morning, and just perfect, just perfect.
Well, needless to say, it is not 75.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm filled with guilt.
But you don't even have to go anywhere to do a sort of vacation. Maybe you say like, you know what, I'm going to reserve a spot at Blue Hole, and I'm going to, there's so many different things that you can just do around, but just give your side some time to mentally decompress. It's really important. Also, you need to know like what are your financial runways. So download your bank statement. There's some ways that you can go and assess that to think about, all right, what sort of like, what is my fiscal situation and how might that implicate or how might that impact the type of jobs that I am looking for or willing to accept? And then another good thing to do is just update LinkedIn as your future self. Like Chris can put in there and talk about all of the great sales skills that he has and really talk about, all right, when I land that full-time job doing sales and this type of experience, you can really highlight that. So there's good tips on how to do that in the book as well. All right, let me pause there and see any questions so far. Has anyone done any exercises like this? Any similar exercises?
I encourage people to always create a master work history where you identify achievements, accomplishments in every company that you've worked for. But I used to, when I taught at the Workforce Solutions Office, I used to say that you look back at every company you've ever had and you say, these were the things I did there that I liked, and these were the things I did there that I hated. And it's and recognizing that and working toward doing more of what you like and less of what you hated, I think is a really important thing to do.
Yeah. And Sally mentions that she's kind of downloaded the bank statement. One of the things that I started using during the Great Recession, when I got laid off, along with what seemed like half of America, I started using mint.com, and I started just sticking to a monthly budget. And then I was like, holy crap. Once I actually visualize and can see everything I'm spending on, and then I could just like, it's actually like, it's really satisfying to be like, all right, look at that. I've stayed within budget. So if you're kind of like that type A and you really get into the details, using something like Mint to make sure that you're staying on budget is really important as well. And Kathy mentions the SWAT teams, search with the team. Absolutely, you should do that. And yeah, and it's just a great way to figuring out who that team's going to be. That's going to encourage you to do more networking. All right, this is the next step. This is really key. This is the one when I start talking to people, this is where I immediately go. Finding your purpose. So you need to figure out like, all right, well, what are you really excited about? What are the types of jobs that you should be pursuing? One way to do that is just do lots of informational interviews. Like, for example, my wife at her current role is not satisfied. So today she's actually interviewing someone who's in a field. She hasn't met this person. She doesn't know them. She reached out to them, but she's fascinated by the work that they're doing. And she wants to learn more about how she got into that. Now, she's done this in the past, and it actually has resulted in a new job for her. So you're not, and as you probably learned at, Launchpad Job Club already, now you're going to be like, all right, so what are the odds that I'm going to get a job here? Can you hire me? That's not what this is about. It's really about learning, helping understand like, all right, so what was the journey? What was the path that you went on? And how might I replicate that? Like, I get questions a lot about like, Dan, how do you become a product management coach? And I will sometimes say like, well, build a time machine, go back at 15 years ago when there wasn't like a lot of competitions and chuckleheads like me could actually get hired doing it. That was probably, but if you don't have that, here's other things that you can do. Now, this also is helpful because you're going to choose someone that has that career trajectory that you want. Maybe you're making that career transition. I've seen people like when I get matched up with people who are looking for jobs in product management or product marketing, and maybe they're coming from an educational background or a technical background, I can pair them like, here's someone that made that exact same switch. You're like, oh, well, I actually was in law enforcement, or nursing, but I'd really love to get into product. Like, I actually know someone that's done that. It just helps to see how other people made their way through, because it can feel like you've been dropped into this maze and you have no idea how to get out. But there's people out there who be like, oh, I did that maze. Here's a map. You're still going to have to travel it, but at least I'm going to show you which way to go. And in the book, there's lots of great questions that you can ask when you're doing those informational interviews. This is the big thing. You should be doing this on a continuous basis. I will always try to meet with people just so I can learn from them and think about, that's actually how I ended up with my current job now at Pragmatic. You should also be able to describe your dream job. When I ask you, what are the top 3 things that you're looking for in your next job? You should be able to say, I would love to have this, this, and this. Other nice to haves, I would love to be in this type of environment, or maybe this sort of industry. But knowing what is most important to you really is important. So for me, I need to know that there is a culture of autonomy and accountability where I'm not going to be micromanaged. I get to say, hey, this is what we need you to accomplish, Dan. And then I'm set free to do that. Now I'm held accountable for delivering on those outcomes, but I'm not going to have somebody like, nitpicking every step of the way. There's going to be things, and describing your dream job is really hard. But if you've done that exercise where you've mapped out your previous experience, this becomes a lot easier. Other exercises like finding your center of gravity. Like in the book, it talks about that. That's really about like, what is core to you? When have you found yourself getting really angry and frustrated at jobs and realize that, all right, you're not at your center of gravity. You're kind of disjointed, and you don't want that sort of feeling. You can write fiction about yourself, go on a solo trip. This is something that I did in my younger years. I lived in DC. Washington, D.C. And if you've ever been there, like out in west of there is the Shenandoah Valley. Absolutely beautiful place, especially during the fall. I would go and just go on long hikes by myself. I was a terrible camper. I just not very good, but I could pitch it, like just get a tent. I couldn't build a fire, but I could spend time out there to clear my head. That actually was really helpful for me. And again, you don't need to go anywhere fancy, just give some time, change the environment. That sort of reframing things. When you change the environment, you can start to change the perspective. When you get distance, especially when we live in a big city like this, sometimes just getting away from things can really, really help. All right, activity time. This is what we're gonna break out into some rooms. How many people do we have total here?
We have 26 shown in the room.
Okay.
I have 5 room. Let's see. I'm check it. Hold on.
Paul, you said we can do groups of 5.
I have 4 groups. One with 6, and the others have 5.
Perfect. All right, what you're going to do during this activity, we'll give you 10 minutes. Oh man, we are way behind. We're going to give you 5 minutes. What we're going to do is, forget the 3 or 4 people. I just want you to go around and tell each other, what are the top 3 things that you're looking for in your job? So let's do 6 minutes for this, Paul. That way everyone's got a minute. It's going to be rapid fire. So
Okay.
This is what we're going to do. You're going to describe your job, your dream job, and the top 3 things you're looking for. Welcome back, everyone. Hopefully that was a helpful exercise.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to keep going because I want to make, I'm just very big on finishing on time. You're going to get to a point.
Dan, you have at least an hour because we were late getting started.
Okay.
So take all the time you need.
All right. Now, as Kathy can attest, at some point in your job search, and maybe you've experienced this already, you're going to feel overwhelmed. Why? Because you're a human. That's what happens. And this is a very overwhelming process. So what are things that you can do when you're feeling this? Now, this is one exercise that I thought was especially helpful. Write down what is stressing you, what is causing you. That sort of activity of writing things down, especially if you do that, a couple hours, maybe an hour before you go to bed, get that down. He advises this. And one of the other reasons I pick this exercise in particular is I'm a big proponent of, there's a book called Getting Things Done. And part of that is like, I used to feel overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, I forgot to do this and this and this. But once I started writing everything down that I needed to do, and then just kind of keeping it organized here. In fact, I'll show you right now. Let me see if I can do that. Can you guys see my screen now, my Kanban flow?
Yes.
That's everything that I need to do for today. I've already like dropped off my my wife's car. We're gonna pick it up later. I've started the laundry. Like once I do all of this stuff, like I don't have any stress because I know I've done everything that I need to do today. And I've already marked out, like the one thing that I marked and moved over was preparing for this organization. So just writing things down, there's a lot of power in doing that. And it's not only in terms of what you need to get done, but also just what is like stressing you out. Other things that I find is helpful is make sure, I can't emphasize enough the importance for sleep. And if you're not working right now, if you want to take a nap in the middle of the day, I say go for it. I'm a big proponent of that. If you are well rested, it helps you overall, physically and emotionally. Make sure you're eating. So he recommends doing this for a full week, getting rest, eating well, exercising, and then treating yourself to something that you love. These are the things that are going to help when you're feeling overwhelmed. You have to be kind to yourself. It's very natural. You can start to beat yourself up like, oh, I screwed up that interview, whatever it may be, or I should have submitted that resume sooner. We could always like focus on things we could have done better, but sometimes it helps just to, go easy on yourself. Celebrate the small wins, as Martha says. Also rethink your daily routine. Like, all right, maybe like this is an agile principle. So Lonnie will tell you, you need to constantly say, all right, what am I doing well? Where can I improve? How can I get better? So what are the things I really don't love about my daily routine? Now, when I was looking for jobs, I would get up, go to the workout. I would go to the coffee shop. I would spend the morning submitting jobs, doing skills, and then in the afternoon, I would primarily do networking, informational interviews, reaching out to people, sending emails, trying to do networking, things like that. That I found was helpful. Now that I didn't immediately day one have that daily routine, that's over time, I got to that point. Now there's some days where I'm like, you know what? I'm going to sleep in. I'm not going to work out. And I'm probably just going to sit on the couch and read a book or go see a movie. That's fine too. You have to recognize, all right, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, what is the right thing to take care of myself so that I can be the best version of myself going forward? And I do like this idea that he kind of talks about atomic changes that you can change just to kind of build better habits along the way.
Is an atomic change a big change or a little change? Is it like an atom?
Yes.
Okay.
Small little changes over time will build up. So, yep.
Not like a bomb.
Like for example, maybe you say like, I'm going to start doing Pomodoros. I'm going to shut down Slack. I'm going to shut down my email. I'm going to shut off my phone. And I'm just going to focus on this one task. And I'm going to do that for 15 minutes. Maybe you're like, all right, I did that for a week. I focused 15 minutes at a time. Then we're going to bump it up to 20 minutes. Just little changes to kind of help yourself improve over time. Now, some other things you could do, like changing your physical space. There's some real benefits of that. If you're the type of person who isn't as manic as I am and you can sit in a room for 45 minutes, go for it. One thing that I needed to do was renegotiate 5 commitments because I realized like, you know what, I was feeling overwhelmed. What are the things that I could pull back from? Or in your case, you may be like, you know what, I need to get out more. I need to interact and actually see people. So maybe I'm going to commit to going and seeing people in person because that just being with other people, especially if they're can be really positive as well. Now we get to step 3. You have to constantly, like, this is not just for when you are you're looking for a job. You always need to be upskilling. Think about how can you be the master of whatever craft you're going at. So the first thing you need to do is just kind of write out your list. So this is something that I have people do in the Product Job Club. What are all the skills that you have? Now, for product managers, we'll usually do product skills, soft skills, and maybe tech skills or something like that. But you want to go through them and then see like, all right, well, what are the ones that you're missing? And you need to know what are the specific skills that are needed in your specific area. So you could go and if you're in sales, you could just be like glossary of sales terms and sales tools. So you go out there and be like, oh yes, I have done that. Because there'll be things that you've done in your career at your jobs. And maybe at that company, they called it one thing, but the new jobs that you're looking for, they call it something else. So it's just good to go through and understand what skills are needed and which ones that you might want to build. So you list out what you want to learn next. You have to have a sense of where you want to grow. When you go for a job interview, so many people want to be like, look at all the strengths I have. Look at why I'd be good for this job. But I will tell you, if you're going into an interview like that, the person who's on the other side of the table, on the other side of the Zoom, what they're looking at is the exact opposite. The reason that you got the interview is they know your strengths. So you need to really start to hone in and be like, well, I realize I've always wanted the opportunity to do this. And I've, been studying in this area and I've been doing these sorts of projects on the side. If you can diffuse any concerns they have around your perceived weaknesses, then you spend the rest of your time talking about all your strengths. And that's just a great way to approach it. But you have to be proactive about building up your skills. Now, this is where I'm going to go on a 2-minute tangent about why I love AI and why everybody needs to be learning about AI. And if you want to personally reach out to me, I will help you ramp up because everyone in every area that you are working in, regardless of what industry, what field, AI is going to impact it. And if you can show that you're ahead of the curve, that is going to be really beneficial, especially because face it, there is age discrimination rampant throughout every hiring process. But if you show that, I'm started using these specific things, I really like this LLM or this generative AI, and I love what, these companies are doing. It's not that hard to ramp up and kind of become an expert in specific areas of where there's an intersection of AI in your specific career area. So maybe that's one area you kind of want to build up, but you need to figure out what are the things that you need, what are the skills that you need to build. One of the things to do is consider a just ahead mentor, who's about 3, maybe no more than 5 years ahead of where you want to be in your career. To make a list of your skills, you can, in addition to that, you can also go on a research trip. Maybe you create a company brief. Maybe you kind of really dive deep on a specific company that you're really interested in. There's so many ways, there's so many opportunities to learn. And he'll give you examples of learn out of school and how to take better notes. All right. So at this point, you've kind of set the stage for how you're going to do your job search. You've got a better sense of what is the right sort of jobs, what really is important to you. You've started to, understand what to do when you're feeling overwhelmed. You're starting to build up your skills. This is a big stage. At step 4, now you're really starting to ramp up your networking, because when you're going to be in these conversations and networking, you need to know, this is what I'm interested in. These are the skills that I have. These are the skills that I'm building, and feel good about yourself so you're not overwhelmed when you do have these networking opportunities. So there's lots of different exercises that he advises. 20 people whose career that you admire. So you want to go out and help people. If you are seen as someone who's helpful, let me tell you, I love to help people, but I've been paid back in spades. I have reaped so many benefits just being willing to share what I know. And people have shared what they know with me. So you can do what my wife did, email someone you don't know, make a company list, definitely attend events. If you're at all interested in Agile, check out Agile Austin. It is an amazing organization. It's done so much personally for my career and so many others. There's lots of great communities. And if you don't see a group out there, do what Scott Killian did with the Agile Austin group, or what I did with Product Lead. Start your own, build up your own group. And, if you ever want help, your own meetup group and start to create your own community of like-minded people, I can help you with that. Additional things, you want to map your network. You can create a course pack. So all these different things, you can dive in additional activities. Again, this book is a choose your own adventure. You're going to flip through it. You're going to read these exercises and be like, that really seems interesting. That's something I'm going to do. The important thing is whatever exercise, you just choose an exercise and do it, and you'll feel the progress. Yes, John, you had a question.
Hi, Dan. Good to see you here.
Yeah.
Your presentations are always exciting. Is there something in that book about informational interviews?
Yes. So if you go to, let me see, why don't we go over to the book and let's see if we can get to specifically.
Those are a great way to build your own community without having to do something formal
Yep.
like a group or this and that. And I've joined on LinkedIn. I shifted over to really paying a lot of attention to renewable energy and EVs.
Yep.
And so now I am at the point where I actually get shares of my articles and thumbs up and comments from a few fairly well-known futurists who've written books. So
Yes.
mine's in
Yep.
my group is informal, and I've also boosted my followers 5 or 10 times.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm developing some cred in that area.
Absolutely.
Using
Yes.
my background as a technologist in software and cloud, and just shifting to being a technologist in energy, transportation, that sort of thing. So,
Yep. Yeah. That is great. That sort of idea of building your own brand, interviewing people, and then going out and sharing what you've learned is really helpful. So there's definitely a whole, section on interviewing someone. But if you go through, especially this networking section, there's lots of different, helpful things and tips that you can do. So yeah, there's actually specific questions you can ask and things like that.
and I actually found there are a bunch of these guys who are highly involved in Texas. So at some point I can go to Dallas, or when they get here, I'll probably meet, and some of them in Austin even. I'll probably meet some of them face to face eventually,
Oh yeah.
but
Yep.
it doesn't have to all be virtual.
Yep. I mean,
So-
I'll be honest. A lot of my career, I did what John just talked about. I went and I talked to people I admired in different spaces. There's a local product management leader named Daniel Elizadeh, who he teaches product management, the IoT, Internet of Things product management at Stanford. He's written a book. I saw him present at Product Camp, and I, like a creepy stalker, followed him, found him at lunch, sat next to him, asked him lots of questions. I've patterned my career a lot after what Daniel has done, because I saw he was my just ahead mentor. And I would be like, I would love to do that.
That's
But,
great.
there were some skills I needed to build up. Like, one of my problems, I had a paralyzing fear of public speaking, absolutely crippling. I couldn't, if I had to, speak in front of more than 4 people, it was awful. But I realized, like, oh, there's actually things I can do to improve on that. So I realized, like, hey, this is where I want to get to, but here's the things that I need to get better at in order to attain those things. So yeah, I love it. Great example, John. That's that sort of idea of, like, pursue your passions, build up your brand, show people that you're passionate about something. I'm telling you, companies will take someone who is passionate about what they do over someone that has, like, experience, but maybe comes across as a little disinterested. We're going to talk a little bit about that idea of mission fit and culture fit in a little bit. But I want to pause there. Any other questions? Any other things that people want to add to that in terms of, like, the networking component of your job search? So Shannon, maybe could you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just said I think you're good to go on.
Okay. All right. So networking is really about learning, figuring out, like, what are the skills that people are really looking for. And I would tell you, like, you're already seeing lots of these things, like they want certain AI skills. And, there's a great website called the AI Exchange. And I pay to be a member. I was founded by a woman. She went to UT, her and her sister. She went on to be a data scientist at Meta, at Facebook before starting this company. They have so many online tutorials about how to learn about AI that, people talk to me, they think I'm an AI expert or something because I know how to build chat bots or, integrate different tools and build, use Zapier to kind of automate processes. It's super simple. Anyone can do that, but you have to kind of take that initiative and be like, oh, you know what? If I could go and build some sort of AI tool for a company that I'm talking to, that would really be helpful. So, like, here, look, we're going to automate some of the sales process, or I'm going to, if you're going for marketing, like, we're going to use some of these tools to improve, like, to create an initial draft of different marketing campaigns or things like that. Again, I can't recommend the AI Exchange enough. It's been just a gold mine of information. All right, so things to consider when networking. And now we're going to the reality of searching for a job is, at certain times you're going to feel stuck. Everybody does. I mean, it's just the nature. So what do you do when you're feeling stuck? Well, he has lots of helpful exercises. One, you could send a looking for a job email to 5 close friends. It's interesting because when I was in the Launchpad Job Club, people were very reticent about mentioning, like, this is years ago when I first went during the Great Recession, there was almost like this stigma you didn't want to mention that you were looking for a job. I'm really happy to see that that is gone. And people that have that looking for work kind of badge on your LinkedIn. This idea that, like, hey, you get and lose jobs. It happens all the time. It happens to all of us. So, hey, I'm in this situation. People are going to be able to relate to that. So he has, again, a lot of with these exercises, he gives you examples. So here's a little template of maybe how you would structure that email that you would send to people. Other things that you can do when you're stuck, find that just ahead mentor, like I find with Daniel Elizadeh. I realized that I needed to get out of the career trajectory I was going because I didn't like where I was heading. I was a really crappy programmer. And I was like, I can do better. I know there's something I'm more passionate about. And it turned out to be product management, but I needed that kind of, just ahead mentor to help me really accelerate that transition. Other stuck activities. What I'm going to point out is make your own finish line. Martha mentioned earlier in the chat about celebrating the small wins. You know, your finish line isn't just when you start at that new job. There's lots of successes along the way that you should be celebrating, and you should really recognize. And I would start just be like, you know, what's something you've already accomplished? You know, like the fact that you came to this job, like you came to this meeting, you've just connected with like maybe like 10 other people. That's a finish line. Great. You completed that portion of the race. Celebrate those small wins, because it really does. It isn't just one thing that you're trying to accomplish. It's all of these small steps which will eventually get you to that new place. So this to me, I think is really important. And for me, I would celebrate by allowing myself to go out for ice cream, because I love ice cream, because I'm still at heart like basically a 5-year-old kid. So celebrate those finish lines. All right, so you notice that step 5, we waited till step 5 before we got to applying for jobs. Now, this was the mistake that I saw when my students, when they weren't getting jobs in product, they were skipping steps 1 through 4. So now, all right, after you've gotten to this point, you have a really good sense of what you're looking for, what sort of job, you're building up your skills, you're networking. Now you can really start applying. So you need to organize your job search, and there's lots of suggestions within the book on how to do that. You can run a really efficient job search, or you can run a really poor one. You're going to need some help in making sure that you're tracking the different interviews and things like that. And yes, Hunter is a great, you use a tool like Hunter to help you track your job search. Martha, can you explain what a millennial mentor is? Because I absolutely love that concept.
Yes. So I had a completely different career. When I first got out of college, I had a 10-year career in one particular industry, and then I was a stay-at-home mom, had a career gap for a long time, and I decided to go into a new industry. And as an older, actual years around the sun, older person, and going into something new, I got a millennial mentor, because I'm past millennial stage. And she really helped me figure out what I needed to do to skill up. She helped me network, and it was a very good relationship in that I helped her with some things that she hadn't thought of, and she definitely helped me see some of my blind spots that I would not have known any other way. So she was a just ahead mentor in a sense, but a lot of times we tend to think of someone who is older, wiser, or that type of thing. And she definitely was much younger, but still wiser.
Yeah. And this is a natural thing that we've seen in the Product Job Club, because we'll have people like me who are in their 50s. We'll have people who are like in their 20s. You can benefit from each other. It isn't just a one-way conversation. Both sides can help each other. And that's why I think it's really important, because you need to know like all the different like technologies and the ways people are working, and like, just you're going to end up working with different generations of people at your company. So you should be comfortable in knowing how different people operate. So don't skip this step. Make sure you have an organized job search. You could send out an email to kind of start to maybe, prime the pump a little bit. You're going to show like why you have skills that they're looking for. You're going to prove that you're mission aligned. That shows like, hey, the company is doing something. So like, if you're applying to, like, I used to work at HEB, and if you just say like, oh, I'm really good at doing this type of product management or engineering or marketing, you're not going to get the job. You have to show why you love HEB, why you love their mission. You have to understand what they're really about beyond just, like being a grocery store, and say like, I want to work because of the missions that you've set out for what you're trying to do and impact beyond just selling groceries. So show how you can be part of the impact that that company wants to make. And then, you request an opportunity to talk. So there's a template for you to send out that sort of email. So other exercises, go to a job board, then leave. He'll explain why. Talk to recruiters. They have questions on what you should ask different recruiters so that you're, making sure you're finding the right recruiter. Find the job title. Like one of the things that I found over different job searches was I realized I'm like, oh, actually, I want this type of job. So like where I've been a VP at different companies, I've had a couple different VP titles. I was a senior director at a bigger company. And then I realized like, oh, I don't ever want to do that again. What I really want to do is be a principal product manager and a coach. And so people were naturally slotting me into different areas, but I realized, and people were like, wait, why would you want to do that? And I'm like, because that's where I'm happiest. And I don't care if it's like the most money or whatever. And honestly, pursuing areas that I was more passionate about, where I could learn more and have more impact, just would greatly benefit. I don't chase titles. I chase opportunities to learn and be impactful. And then get a side hustle, which is a whole other presentation on itself. All right, we're going to skip activity time because I have a 12 o'clock gym and I'm very, very serious about my fitness here, get my steps in. So I want to make sure I get done. We're at the point where we're going to actually do interviewing. So what you need to do is prepare for your interview. You have to have your stories that you can pull out and use in different scenarios. So you're gonna get lots of those, like, tell me about a time when. So you have to actually, and this one of the things, we built a template for people to really say, like, what are the 5 to 10 stories that you want to come out and like use during interviews? And when you get asked different questions, you're going to need to go through that STAR approach. What is the situation? What is the task? What is the action you took? And what was the result? And so you want to be a good storyteller, because ultimately you're telling the story about why you would be a perfect person for this job. What has led you, all of the experiences led you up to make you the perfect candidate.
Oops, we lost your sound.
In this area, in this area, in this area. That really, all that really does come up. Now, the way that you're going to stack those Legos is going to be different depending on the job and the company you're going for. Shannon, I saw you come off mute there for a second. Did you have something you wanted to add?
We were just we lost your sound for a moment. We don't want to miss anything.
Okay. I did get a little thing. Your internet is unstable. So hopefully
that was it.
Okay.
It was good.
So you got to practice, and you need to really be able to tell your story. Tell your story about why you're the perfect fit. So the book is helpful on that. Prove your mission aligned. Again, being like, your mission fit is not the same as the culture fit. So there's lots of things that you could do. If one of the leaders of the company has written a book, you should read that book. You should go if they've opened a new store or whatever it may be, you should go on a field trip and check it out. Maybe you talk about the company, show what what are the things I love, the way that this company has this impact outside of just sales, whatever it may be. So there's lots of examples that you can do to prove you're a mission fit. Lots of different interview exercises that you should do. I will tell you, you have to get really good at interviewing, and you have to be constantly practicing it. I work with a lot of students that are just out of college. They do, and I'm not even kidding, up to 100 practice interviews for different jobs. A lot of them are going for the different FANG companies and things like that. But so many people are really getting good at interviewing. If you're a great candidate, but you don't interview well, you're toast. You're absolutely toast. Unfortunately, I've also seen it where people are good at interviewing, but not good at the actual job, get hired. So you need to actually be good at both. But just getting in there and winging it, not good. Now, there's great tools out there where you can actually, there's tools, you can just do like AI interview tools. You can interview, they'll ask you questions, and it'll give you, the AI will generate feedback for you on how well you're presenting. And there's also just cool, like, little tips. Start work without telling the company. There's one person who really wanted to work for this e-commerce company that was blowing up, and he went and kind of created a new feature for them and shared it with them. And they're like, "Oh, I want to learn more about why did you do that?" And they ended up hiring that person. So there's lots of ways that you can kind of like start to get your foot in the door to kind of distinguish you from all the other people that are out there looking for that job. So Martha mentioned a really good app that you can use. I don't know how to use it. Udly, something like that. All right, the last step, you get the new job. I'm telling you, if you go through these steps and you work with others, you will get to this place. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of pain and suffering, a lot of emotions on the way, but you can and will get that new job. And when you do, you should celebrate it, and you should come and tell people at Launchpad Job Club what that process was like, so that others know that there is that light at the end of the rainbow for you.